This week, Delicious Ambitious is in Melbourne, Australia, to meet Dr. Lisa Dethridge, a media and communications professional with over 20 years of experience, including editing and script writing. Lisa has worked in New York, Hollywood and Australia. She contributes to magazines such as Vogue and Marie Claire and has taught media communications at UCLA, the American Film Institute, New York University and RMIT University, which is where we caught up with her. We asked her where it all started.
I was a fairly hard-working student at Melbourne University. Eventually I became hard-working and serious. I did a bachelor's degree and then a master's degree. I enjoyed the student life so much that I just figured I might as well hang around at university. I was studying fine arts and literature, cinema, a lot of exciting artistic stuff. I did politics. I did a master's degree in politics after my honours degree in arts. Then I decided, I did some travel, went and lived in England for a while, had a bed sit in London and worked as a waitress. And during that time I travelled briefly to New York, fell in love with New York and figured what better thing to do than go there and do a PhD. I earned a scholarship. I applied for maybe 13, 14, 15 scholarships, which was like doing a job, I suppose. That was a huge amount of work. Did the interviews, managed to score one, which was to take me to New York University. And then I just really transferred my pleasure-seeking student lifestyle from Melbourne to New York without too much trouble, really. So it was a great adventure and not too much sweat because I felt passionately about what I was doing.
And what were you studying? Your PhD was media ecology?
Media ecology, which is sociology, anthropology and history of mass media.
Right.
From cave painting to computer science. Was a fabulous degree run by an author called Neil Postman, Professor Neil Postman, who has written some wonderful books about media. He was a really inspiring character. I met many inspiring and learned characters at the university and they embraced we Australians. You know, we get on pretty well with the Americans. And I worked very hard. I did a lot of unlearning and learning at the same time. They didn't hesitate to tell me when I was not achieving goals, and so I would go away and reshape my thinking and especially my writing practice, because I was doing I was working with a Japanese publishing company at the time. I had a series of very interesting jobs in New York. The beauty of the student visa is that it allows you to work commercially for a wage, and so I was working with a large Japanese publishing company writing for a magazine about computers. And then I had a job at the United Nations, which had always been an ambition of mine, studying military industrial communication systems and aerospace systems at that time. I was actually your literal space cadet. I studied all forms of communication and eventually found my way into outer space. I think I just watched too many episodes of Lost in Space when I was a child. And then I found my way into NASA. And had a job there on aerospace research, which meant my particular job was to try and persuade Australian scientists that they needed to be sending experimental payloads into space. I found my way into the upper echelons of power, both at NASA and in the UN. I was walking the corridors that women didn't usually tread, and I must admit I found it incredibly intimidating. I would have been 27, 28. I think they just adopted me because I was such a keen and bright young thing.
As well as working in New York, Lisa has also worked in Hollywood. So what was that like?
Working in Hollywood was everything one could ever imagine, I think. It was just over the top. Exaggerated social life. It took a while to find your way into the hive, as it were. It's like a big beehive, and everybody in Hollywood is working to produce the same honey, which is you're either in film or TV or entertainment. So all of the conversations are about showbiz. Everybody is concerned about their latest project in showbiz, which makes it tremendously exciting because it means you're just talking what you love and doing what you love all the time. I had a bit of preparation in New York. I worked for a while at Warner's in New York, assessing film scripts, and because I had been through New York University, that sort of gave me a bit of an entry card into the system. Because I had the degree, it helped me a little, the degree being from New York Uni. Otherwise, Hollywood is, it's a meritocracy. In other words, you're as good as your last project. You're only as good as what you do. And the Americans are interesting because, unlike, say, the Europeans, they appreciate people who actually do and who produce. They don't care where you come from, who your family is, how much money you have, what your social status is. Your social status there is comprised of your last project. So you're only as good as your last movie in Hollywood, which means that people are striving for excellence, and they often achieve it. You know, it's a great working town. But there's all the madness too. I was working for Vogue magazine, for Australian Vogue while I was in Hollywood, and I was also moonlighting for American Elle magazine. So I was receiving invitations to all of the parties, all of the openings. I did the Oscars a couple of times. I did on camera at the Oscars one year for Ted Turner's network. I think I had the Vogue hat on and someone was interviewing me about fashions at the Oscars. And then the next year I was producing television for TV New Zealand, producing television coverage at the Oscars, and that was probably one of the pinnacles of my television career. Producing those segments and writing that material and negotiating the huge circus. The Oscars is maybe one of the biggest, apart from covering the war, it's one of the biggest media circuses you'll ever be involved with, so that was a great production.
And you've still continued with your focus on sort of script writing at the moment.
Yes.
With your work and your book about writing the screenplay and workshops and things.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I work pretty hard here at RMIT University in Melbourne. I coordinate postgraduate research, so they are masters and PhD students who are creating a variety of projects. Some of them are making computer games, some of them are working in virtual reality environments for entertainment or for therapy, the therapy of patients, I mean. Some of them are writing novels, some of them are writing scripts, some of them are shooting TV, some of them are designing websites. So I work with creative people who are generating a variety of projects. It's great. It's very exciting. It's my privilege. I learn from the students. I have now a 20-year track record in all forms of writing and media production. I put a lot of it into a book about screenwriting, and I also designed a website about scripting projects that the Australian Film and TV School run. That's interesting, working online with people as well. That's been an interesting sort of pioneering thing to do.
And somehow in between all of that, you've had time to have children. How have you managed that?
I have two children, a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, a girl and a boy, Lucian and Ava. I think I managed it by working through both pregnancies, even though I was very much a gung-ho career woman of the 80s. When they were small, when they were babies, I found it very challenging indeed and wanted to hand in my badge on the motherhood job more than once. But I'm glad I persevered. I was very determined, working as a writer and an academic, because I was teaching part-time during the whole period we've just been discussing. I had jobs on and off at universities nearly the whole time because it was a steady paycheck.
And just finally, if you any advice for, young women who are just trying to decide what they want to do, or perhaps know that they want to pursue writing or media or anything like that, have you got some tips that you could offer them?
Grooming and appearance are absolutely important. It's very much about presenting the image of someone who knows what she's doing, who is in charge, who is capable of listening to others and maybe inspiring others. And I can't put my finger on exactly how one would qualify the importance of image. It's not that sort of bossy 1980s thing about power dressing. It's more about being enough in touch with your own self and a healthy version of yourself. That's the other thing, no smoking, no drugs, none of that. You have to sort of present as a human being who is balanced And appearance is part of that, isn't it? So that's important. Deadlines then are crucial. Providing the best possible work within budget on time always, because your competition will be doing that, and no matter how brilliant you are, if you hand in the work one day late, you're often losing the job. So content is equally important as the form of the work and getting it in on time and within budget. The who you know factor is very important too, which means you need to cultivate friendships with people in the business, not because you want to bleed them dry, but because you have a point of sympathy or you are sharing work with them.